Hello, and welcome to Saturday Morning Cartoons, the weekly podcast that revisits, reviews, and ridicules some of the world's weirdest animated series. We've got a very special episode for you guys today. This is our 10th episode of the podcast. Very, very excited.
Yay.
Hey, everybody, woo,
Woo!
round of applause. I'm your host, Dave Trumbore, as always. With me today, the Jitatin monkey bird, Sean Paul Ellis. What's up, buddy?
David,
There he
how are
is,
you?
with his glorious introduction. I love it. And that Chongo Longo bilge rat, sure, from the Bay Area, Matt Barron. What's going on, man?
I am way stoked to get into this
Yeah,
one.
this is some good stuff. If you don't recognize that slang, then you are not aware of the Pirates of Dark Water. If you do recognize it, then you're very, very aware of the show because they kind of created their own slang that kind of got worked into the zeitgeist over the years. So if you're a 30-year-old nerd like we are, then you definitely remember this stuff. But we'll get into that one. I want to give you guys a little bit of a history on this one. It's kind of convoluted. This series really did struggle to find an audience in the early days of the 1990s, but it's got kind of a fan following that's still relatively strong today, believe it or not. So this one was a Hanna-Barbera production. Originally appeared on Fox Kids in 1991. It was originally a 5-episode miniseries. Now, in that 5-episode miniseries, we'll talk about these characters once we get into it, but a guy by the name of Roddy McDowall voiced a character named Niddler in the original 5 episodes. What Hanna-Barbera then did was they revised and sort of revamped these original episodes for a rebroadcast later on in 1991, just later on, and they brought Frank Welker in to actually do the voice for Niddler, as well as a ton of other characters. Frank Welker, we've talked about a number of times on the show. We'll probably reference him more as we get into the other characters. But that's just an interesting kind of like side note for fans of the series that Welker replaced McDowell. So you've got your first 5 episodes. There were only a total of 21 ever produced. There are some rumors out there that there's some, kind of mysterious content that was produced, whether it was concept art or clips or full episodes. That's never really come up since 1994 is pretty much the last time anybody's seen anything relatively new from Pirates of Dark Water. So you had the 5 episode miniseries to start it. You had an 8 episode quote unquote season 1 on ABC. ABC dropped it. Fox picked it up for the last 8 episodes, and it's mostly because creator David Kirshner and producer Kaz Anzalati, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, really, really pushed to get these last 8 episodes in, just so it didn't end way prematurely. Now, according to most fans, it still ended way prematurely, but that's what we got. So, unfortunately, that's all we have for Pirates of Dark Water. But to give you an idea of what the show was actually about, I'm gonna turn it over to Matt.
So I have to tell you, I've watched this intro like dozens of times before we got
Yeah,
to
right.
this week. So I've got this thing like pretty much like just burned into the back of my skull.
Nice.
But to break it down for you pretty succinctly, the alien world of Mur is being devoured by dark water, and only Ren, a young prince, can stop it by finding the lost 13 treasures of rule. Uh, at his side is a unlikely but loyal crew of misfits, and at his back is the evil pirate Lord Bloth, who will stop at nothing to get the treasures for himself. Yada yada yada. High adventures, Pirates of Dark Water.
Yeah, High Adventures on the Sea, Alien Planet, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great though. I mean, I still remembered. We've talked about this on previous shows where we have memories of these shows that are 20, 25 years old. We don't know if they're going to quite hold up. I'm happy to say that the episodes that I did watch were still good. Like they still do hold up today. There's a couple little goofy things here and there, still kind of kidsy,
Yeah.
but this was one of those
That kind of
series.
like that like Saturday morning cartoon kitsch.
Yeah, kind of like the knuckleheads, like all clunking their heads together and falling
Yeah.
over. There's a lot of that stuff, but there was a
Oh,
lot of good
Conk.
serious stuff too. Yeah, Conk especially,
Yeah.
and his idiot henchman.
It was like
Um,
two weird leather daddies that were with him for like the
yeah,
Yeah, that was
majority of
kind
the
of weird.
first like 7 episodes.
yeah. There's some weird sort of like Mad Max kind of get up stuff. It was a little strange, a little
Yeah.
strange. I think Welker actually voiced both of those guys. I think they're the Lug twins. I think they're called, or the Lug
Yeah.
brothers. I think Welker voiced them. But yeah,
That's
since we're
what the
getting
name
into some
is.
of the side characters, let's talk about our main crew here. Um, so yeah, we get
Okay, so let's see. What was it on? There was Ren, Ayaz, and Tula, and they were on what was the name of that
Oh,
ship?
the Wraith,
The
brother.
Wraith.
It's the
I
Come
Wraith.
was just like,
on.
I was like, God damn it,
There
what
are
is it?
literally
But
two ships, two
well, I
named
knew, but
ships.
I was thinking of
In
Blot's
the
ship, and I
entire
was like,
world of Myr, there's
no,
pretty much
no.
only two ships that are on the sea at any given
Well, actually,
time,
That have
which
names
makes
what
the
anyway.
was
Wraith
hilarious?
so incredibly easy to track.
Yeah. Well, it's not that one. Up, it's that one.
Oh, it's the
Yeah,
other one. It's either the
yeah,
giant bone ship.
The
yeah.
Mal- the,
If
Ma-
it's
the
not,
Maelstrom.
Right, right.
yeah, if it's not the one we're on, it's got to be that one
Oh,
over there.
must be the other one. Yeah, it's funny that so you got this alien world that's like it's basically water
Yeah.
world, because it's
That's
just
exactly what I thought
oh my
too.
god, there's
Yeah.
just so much water, and it's cool. I mean, you can do that in an animated series because it doesn't matter if you're drawing jungle, land, desert, ocean. Doesn't matter if you're doing a live action. That's obviously way more expensive. Um, but yeah, you've got this alien world that's a water world, and you've really only got two named ships that are out there. Now we do see another like navy in the first couple of episodes, but again, that's
Right.
getting ahead of ourselves. So let's start at the beginning here. We're not going to go through the entire episode kind of beat by beat, but the first episode obviously introduces our hero characters, starting with Ren. So anybody want to give us an introduction to how we meet young Mr. Ren?
He is a lighthouse keeper,
Mm-hmm.
and he sees a ship that is like down against like the rocks, and he's like, "Oh man, I have to go save him." Like
Yeah, he done
there's
fucked
almost
up
no
his
like
job
there's,
already. He wasn't
yeah,
doing real
like
good at the
not
light.
only like the lighthouse, like this lighthouse, like they are in the middle of like a terrible storm, and the light that is in said lighthouse, the whole reason, like the namesake of the stupid building, is not even on. Like he's already doing like his review, his annual assessment would just be like, you didn't even turn on the light in
You
the
had
lighthouse.
one
Like what
job.
like you one job. That's it. Like, and he just didn't accomplish it. So he sees this like ship that's like down,
Yeah, it's
like
kind of foundering on the
crashed
rocks.
crashed
Yeah.
against like all the rocks, and like it just kind of like the reason I say that is I preface everything with that is this, you realize like in that instant like just how foolhardy Ren as a character really is. Like he is ridiculously optimistic,
Oh yeah, very
but
gung ho.
just a dummy.
Yeah, he's
I
a dumb
mean,
kid. He's basically a teenager, so I mean that gives him room to grow, but it also gives him kind of like heroic qualities. Like he's a goof. He runs headlong into things. He'll figure it out on his way.
yeah,
So,
I mean he's brave. I
oh,
mean
very.
I'll give him that, but I mean like they're just like it's something that occurs throughout all the episodes that I had a chance to watch, where you're just like, oh my god, like if you would take 3 seconds and just think about what you're about to do, you would save yourself a world of pain and frustration.
It's
You
interesting though
dumb
because
dumb.
he's really noble though too. We can get to a couple
Yeah.
examples of that later, but his
Well,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I was gonna say, like, I mean, just right when he, saves the guy
Yeah,
who
yeah.
was like in that ship.
He doesn't
I
know this
mean,
guy. He had no idea
yeah,
who he is.
exactly. And then like he has his mind completely blown by he's like, oh wait, that was my dad. And then
Yeah.
like what I actually openly laughed at this like emotional moment for
Oh
Ren,
my
but
god, I was
when-
crying. Like it
when-
was so funny.
when the sea just sucks the guy
Yep,
back.
he's so to paint this picture. All right, so Ren
Yeah,
has like
my son immediately dies, sea sucks him out, and be like, wait,
he's like,
But, like,
well,
it
peace
took
out.
two
See you later. Good luck.
it's like the wave knocks him back, but it takes his dad back out to the sea.
Yep.
it was
And,
like
he's
Bernie's
like-
weekend at Octopon.
Yeah, it's just, like there's like 2 seconds where he's just like, huh, that's weird. And then like he goes back up in the house, and like the woman that's like his caretaker is just
Right.
like, oh no, that was your dad. And he's like, what?
Yeah, she's like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, by the way,
Oh,
that guy down there,
Yeah,
yeah, totally
by
your
the
dad.
way,
I've
you're
got
a
this.
prince.
Yeah.
Here's a sword.
Here's a broken sword I've been holding behind
yeah.
this brick in the fireplace for 17 years. Other than the
Like,
fact that it's broken in half,
tell
it's in
somebody
good
to
shape.
embark on a quest and then give him like a half a weapon.
They never explain it. Like, what the hell do I do with this thing? My dad just got sucked out to sea. I only knew him for 30 seconds.
I think I need maybe a minute to like kind of digest what just happened.
I do like that he comes back in though, and he's like, "There's some crazy guy. I rescued him, and then he told me he was my dad, and then he drowned. It's a Monday. What are you gonna do?"
That
Yeah,
was your
it was a
dad,
full morning.
David.
Yeah, it's like, well, time for lunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically. So Primus. It's King Primus. He's the king of Octopon. We find out he was actually prisoner of this pirate lord, who's this big slovenly beast of a man that we'll get into in a little bit. He was a prisoner aboard his ship. He escaped and crashed ashore coincidentally enough, where his son was at the lighthouse. So he it was this weird kind of like glowing. I didn't understand exactly what was happening. He gave him this like glowing sight. Did you guys pick up on that? He kind of like
Yeah,
touched
Yeah,
yeah,
his
yeah.
hand and yeah,
it was torn right from the pages of The Giver.
yeah, I could see that. Yeah, he gave him all his memories. He's basically like, dude, what
But
do you see? And he's like, I see a lot of weird blue glowing stuff. What's that building over there? And he's like, that could be the city of Octopon if you rebuild it. All right, gotta go. And then the wave
Right.
sucks him back out. So
yeah,
I think like
surfs
King
up.
Primus also
right,
gave Ren like the ability to just. So like here's the
yeah,
thing is that obviously Ren is obviously the main
yeah,
protagonist, and like the problem is that nobody believes him that he's like the king of Primus, or he's the son of
right.
Primus. And so like
Because
for a
he's
lot of
got
the
no
episode,
proof other than
yeah,
like
I
his
mean there's
actions.
no, yeah, exactly. And so like there's nothing there like uh, whatever. It's the challenge is that like he complains about it in so many episodes. He's like, I wish somebody would take me seriously. I'm like, well, if you stop
Yeah,
bitching,
stop whining
like
and do something.
just stop
Well, now
complaining.
one person who does take him seriously is the aforementioned pirate lord Bloth, who is the
Sure.
next person to encounter him. Now, I love the character design for everybody because it's bizarre. It's really really strange,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but it's cool. It's very like eye catching. It's very bold, but it's different too. It's got a very like professional edge to it. Like you could tell that the animators really put some time into these guys. But Bloth is probably my favorite design because he's enormous. I mean, the guy's
Oh
huge.
yeah, he's like 3 times the size of Ren.
Like anybody else, not just like in girth, but like in height too. He's
Yeah,
not just like a fat slob. Like he's a huge mountain of a man. The guy is, and he's all scarred up, and he's got like yellow eyes, and one's like scarred over, and he's got tats, and he's got like spikes and everything on him. He's got like a half chewed ear, like really really bizarre but cool character details. So obviously you know right off the bat, like this guy is not to be fucked with, and he's probably gonna be the series villain. Just going out on a limb
yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now we get introduced to an interesting character that if you're a fan of the flying monkeys from, the Wizard of Oz, maybe you like these guys, the monkey birds. Maybe you don't. How do you feel about the monkey birds?
I thought it was actually like Nibbler was, I think, kind of, the second time around watching it, I was like, okay, I get that he's like the comedy
Right.
relief, but at the same time, I was like, he really is kind of like more part of the crew because he does
Yeah.
like save some asses like pretty
Oh, dude, he can
regularly.
like pilot the ship. He can fly like the guys
Yeah,
to safety or get something that's like out of reach. He
but
surprisingly,
just
yeah.
yeah, I mean, just like the first, or actually like just the whole time he like just constantly harps on how hungry he is. I'm like,
Right.
God, Jesus, I get it. Like,
Well, his
That's actually that's what made Nidler my favorite character, is that he's just like me. He's always thinking about food.
oh, he's
Like
hungry.
he's like from meal to meal. He's just like, what am I eating next? He's just
Probably a
like,
minga melon.
Minga melon. Like,
I love
it's
that
just I love it.
the deal to like. So we'll get into the rest of the crew here since we talked about him. The deal to get him on board, like to stay with the ship, was that
Yeah.
one of the other crew members would feed him 3 times a day, and he's like, "Yep, we're good. I don't need to share
That's
any of
what
those
so
treasures."
to segue in,
Yeah,
that's what Izaz says to him. It's just like he's like, well, what are the benefits of being here? And Izaz is like,
I
well, you get
let
three
me.
meals a
Yeah,
day.
Iaz. Just want to correct that so you're not saying like
Oh,
Izod.
thank you,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Izaz.
No, you're good.
So,
So Iaz,
um,
yeah, they meet him kind of in this like tavern, and they start talking loudly about treasure. Um, yeah, so that's kind of how this like scallywag. He's like your typical kind of pirate. He's kind of skeezy. He's a little rough around the edges, but he's very like swarthy. You can tell he's got his sea legs, and he's been around for a while. He looks very weathered. He basically looks like,
seriously, yeah.
yeah, he's very weathered.
And when they steal the wraith at the beginning, that was the most hilarious thing to me. Like, with just like the crackies make like, geez, you thought we'd steal this ship, and he's like, yeah, we just did,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
they
we did.
just
Keep
like
going.
go
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's a hurry up, get the
which is
hell out of here.
amazing. Which is amazing because Ren has so many
Right.
conflicts with himself later on in the series, where he's just like, oh, we can't steal from people. I'm like, your fucking mode of
Yeah.
transportation, you stole right out the
And you're
gate.
still
You're
riding
just like,
around in it.
you're just like, we don't need to take it back. I mean, like we're already on it. Like I'm already
Yeah,
comfortable.
you got your
Like,
moral compass a little late there, didn't you?
yeah, exactly.
And it's great too. Like the ship is amazing, and I think they reference it later on in like later episodes. I think they do actually pay attention to that detail, and they find like who owned it previously or who won it from somebody else, like who kind of owns the title to this thing, because they run
Yeah.
across.
There's actually
Yeah,
there's like a big history
yeah,
about the Wraith itself.
dude, and that's so
Um,
cool. I love
yeah,
that
which is
that
it's very
detail.
interesting.
Yeah, very neat, and it's cool because the ship is not only like, so it's a small kind of like sloop. It's very fast. It's dwarfed completely by Bloth's massive maelstrom ship, but it can do cool
Right.
stuff like, oh, I don't know, go over a waterfall and then just kind of like glide in the
Yeah, yeah. The
sky.
mainsail, the
Yeah.
mainsail can actually be removed, and it turns into like a hang glider,
Yeah, it's
and
pretty
they
strange,
use
but
it like there are times like where they'll just veer off the side of
the
like
world
I don't know
basically. Yeah,
a waterfall, and just and the sail just like catches the wind and like guides them down. I think that's actually probably what my favorite thing about this show, because I like the two of you who watch
yeah.
this show, like I think I only kind of I maybe watched one episode on television, and I don't really remember anything
Oh,
about it.
really?
So
Okay.
like watching it this week was sort of a like was really my introduction to the
That's
show,
cool.
and it was not disappointing. I was not disappointed with it. Like it was very good, and I enjoyed it. You know, it was, but like that, the whole idea of like the Wraith having a much deeper history than like what's
Yeah.
present initially makes the lore of this of Myrrh so interesting. Like there were times where I was just like, oh man, like I could really just use like an episode that just explains a little bit more exposition about like what Ayaz did
Right.
previously, what, like where the ship came from, which thankfully you get, and so there were just all these things that I like as I'm watching it, I'm just like, oh my god, like I really hope that they talk more about this
And that's
thing,
crazy because you
and
like you never really hear that when we talk about any kind of shows, whether it's an animated series or anything. You're never like, man, I wish they had more exposition, because they usually
oh
layer
yeah,
it on pretty thick. But this show is so
and
rich. Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing, like, I kind of equate this to Exo Squad.
Hmm.
Like, Exo Squad had a very rich history, it had a very complicated, like, involved plot, and like, and sadly, both of them, I think, only got like 20 something
Yeah.
episodes,
Yeah.
and then were cut
I
short,
think they were
and
really
that,
ahead of their time because it wasn't. We
yeah,
weren't getting these kind of a little bit more serious. Now, granted, you got a monkey bird run around eating melons and dropping melons on people's heads, but it's kind of the fate of the world kind of thing that this kid is and his team are in a quest for. They're basically trying to save the world.
and right,
Yeah.
and to round out the final character that is participating
Right.
in that quest, it is Tula.
Right.
And so she's I don't know how to say this other than like you find out later she has some special skills,
Yeah, it's interesting. They
but
didn't.
she
I feel like they
simply
didn't. They didn't decide on that early on. They were like, we'll just make her like a waitress, and then she shows up and she can like kind of sail and she can kind of kick ass, but we don't have anything
well, I
special
mean,
for her
like
to do.
you find out much later on
Hmm.
that like her real reason for jumping on the ship and kind of following Ren and Ayaz and Nidler is that she's attempting to rescue this ecomancer named Terron that is like from her home
Right.
island, and it's like a big deal for her to be able to. The island's called Andros, and so the whole or Andorus or
Andorus.
something, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
like there's like a big like it's a big deal for her to like get Terron and help him and assist him, and in the process, Terron is able to ascertain that like she also has ecomancer skills as well, and so that like gives her something else to do
Right.
in the show, and it gives her it sort of justifies her purpose, because like for the first like 5 episodes she's really just kind of like there are moments where she's just like, I'm a pirate and I'm swashbuckling, and you're just like, you were a barmaid like an
Yeah, they didn't
episode
really know
ago.
what
Like,
to do with
what
her.
are you
Yeah.
doing?
So now she's kind of
Yeah,
filled in this sort of like the D&D kind of like fantasy team requirements. You've got like your hero,
yeah.
you've got kind of your I don't want to say scout. What's the other word for like Ayaz? Kind of your scoundrel, your rascal, your rogue. And then you've
I was
got
gonna say rogue.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then you've
The
got
neutral good.
neutral good. And then you've got your kind of your magic wielder, which is interesting
Right.
because how much do they delve into like the magic versus just like this is just a thing that it is like dark water, which we
Well,
can talk about in a second too, because that's almost a character in and of itself.
actually, kind of the magic thing, like with
Yeah,
the treasures and how
right.
it interfaces with Ren, like, not to get into the whole episode, but like they really hit on it in The Dark Dweller,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
is kind of like it's like a psychic link between Ren and the treasures, because I mean, he kind of says that like obligatory line to like connect it for all the watchers of the show.
Right.
It's like
Yeah, when he's
it's
holding
like
it,
the
he's just
treasure.
like
Yeah,
when
it's
I
like the
hold them.
treasures listen to me, and
Yeah,
I was like,
exactly.
And they're like, "Yep, did you get that, kids?" Yeah,
yeah,
definitely. Gotcha.
exactly. So yeah, the treasures. I mean, basically, listen to Ren once he's with the Dark Dweller. Before it was kind of like just a more, you know, kind of proximity to the Dark Water.
Right.
They'd like do something, like the compass. If you're near one, it points to a treasure, stuff
Well,
like that.
let's talk
But
about
this
that
is
too. Yeah. Go ahead. You can finish your thought, and then I just want to make sure we cover like what the treasures are, what dark water is, and what this whole. We covered it in the synopsis a little bit, but I want to point to it a little more.
right. So I mean, it just as you go throughout, like the series, it's you just find out like the more that like Ren isn't just looking for the treasures. Ren is really linked to the treasures.
Right.
Right.
Which is kind of like it goes back to what we talked about in that first episode, where he had kind of this exchange of powers or vision or sight or gift or whatever with his dad. I'm assuming that's explained a little bit more, but probably never like fully satisfactorily because we only got 21 episodes of this. But yeah, just to back up a step. So, like the synopsis mentions and the theme song in the beginning kind of mentions, there's 13 treasures of rule. And these aren't necessarily good or evil items. They're usually like gemstones embedded in different things, but they're not necessarily good or evil. What are you laughing about?
Just the fact that they're just called rule, like they're not good, they're not evil. They
Yeah,
have
and I
really
always
like
thought it
they're
was like
super
R
neutral.
U L or something, and I'm like, nope,
No,
it's
no,
just
it's
R
R
U L
U
E.
L E.
Yep, just
Like
I
straight
know.
up.
you would think that
I
they'd be way more sinister,
Right.
like than what they are.
Yeah,
Something,
I
but
know.
yeah.
I totally thought it was like RUL or something, and I when I looked up like the actual like script
Right.
and Wikipedia for the show, I'm like, oh, it's rule.
Oh, it's
K-
just
Uh,
rule, like to rule
oh,
Yeah.
over you. Now I get it.
yeah. I was like, I get it now, but yeah. So I think the compass,
Yeah,
which was given to Ren in the first 5 minutes of the first episode,
in a
which just
strange way, but yeah.
yeah, in a really by Ziggy Stardust. Uh, so, um, the compass just like points to different treasures if you're near them, which I've got to imagine if you're out at sea, that you know
Yep.
compass is not pointing much to anything at all for like weeks at a time.
And they have no
So,
map, which like Ayaz actually makes mention of early on. He's like, "This map is fake. What the hell am I doing out here?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, we don't need that. I just got this compass thingy." So I think he was given his compass by Alamar, right? The giant like
correct.
Yeah.
crocodile creature.
Yep. It was like a
Bizarre.
giant. It was like a
It's like a
weird
mini dragon.
yeah.
And he basically is like there to just be like, hey, guess what? This isn't all about humans. There's going to be way more characters that you meet on your quest that are not humans, and we all have a say in this world. So that was kind of like, to me, that was a storyteller's way of just being like, hold on to your butts because there's a lot of crazy shit coming at you, like
Yeah.
giant talking crocodiles and monkey birds and albino sailors and all kinds of crazy
Yeah,
stuff. So yeah, the show is completely nuts, but in a great, great way. So yeah, he's given this pendant that he hangs around his neck, and it's a compass, like Matt said, and it shoots out this like blue laser to point him in the direction of a treasure that happens to be near. And now by like the first episode's end, they already got one. They got one. So you think like done, not a problem. These guys are gonna be fine. They're gonna get their
This is
13.
so easy. This is the easiest quest in the
Easiest
world.
quest in the
yeah,
world. Yeah. Complicating things is Bloth. Now there was sort of this reveal of a destiny kind of written in stone, inscribed with fire kind of thing. I tried to write it all down. I couldn't get it because it was so friggin' long. But it's like this rhyming scheme telling him basically like, there's 13 treasures. You and another will go to find them. Whoever gets them all at the end of the day, pretty much rules Myrrh. And if you're good, you can hold the dark water at bay. And if you're evil, then dark water will pretty much consume the world. So now's
Yeah.
probably a good time to talk about dark water. What do you think?
Ugh.
It's in the
yeah.
title. You'd think it'd
Nice
show up
segue.
right away,
Oh,
right?
you'd think it would show up
Yeah,
like super
like
often.
immediately. Yeah. Nope.
Yeah.
You gotta wait about an
I
hour.
mean, like they're pirates, but you're just like, oh my gosh, like there should be so much dark water.
Yeah.
Oh man, you are sorely mistaken.
Nope. You just keep waiting around. Like, where is that dark water? We had an
Where is
appointment,
dark water gonna
and he is
happen?
late.
Dark water doesn't show up until episode 3.
And it's only a little puddle, a little splash.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And
like
like,
you kind of like get the sense that you're just like, does it just like it seems to just magically appear.
Yep.
Like it doesn't seem that there's like, I mean, they are always on the lookout for it,
Right.
whether they're on the Wraith of the Maelstrom, like they're always on the lookout for dark
Well,
water.
and it's because
And
Primus has hidden, apparently, he's hidden these treasures within a realm of Darkwater. So at this point, it's not over the entire world, but there is one specific area of Myrrh that Darkwater is present in larger quantities than elsewhere. So the fact that he
right,
hid those treasures here makes them difficult to find and also incredibly dangerous for everybody to seek.
Right.
yes,
And what's interesting is when I remember watching this show, like when it was on TV the
Yep.
first time around, I had like a much more like kind of quicksand imagining of dark water.
Right.
It was like kind of a much more like naturally occurring, like, oh, if I don't, sail my ship into it,
Yeah,
or
I'll
if
be
it
fine.
doesn't like drift over to me, I'm cool. But then like, getting through a couple of the episodes and seeing the Dark Dweller, that's when it's like, oh, this is kind of like a larger extension of like a living thing.
Yeah, it's
Like
very
it's,
like
you
sentient.
know, yeah, more malicious than like, some sort of,
Just like a
natural
naturally occurring.
event.
Right,
Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
Like the first time you're
So,
introduced to it, they're like dark water off the port bow, and they're like fuck, and they just steer out of the way. But like
yeah,
this
and that's it.
barrel falls over, right? Yeah, but a
That's it.
barrel
And
falls
they,
over, and they're like, oh, what's gonna happen to that barrel when it touches that oil? It's like, oh
yeah,
shit, and it just like swallows it up, and you're like, that's probably not
it's
real
like
good.
it's like sentient like black water that just
It's
like
like
it like immediately attacks anything that's near it.
yeah, it's like the Venom symbiote from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Imagine that, but just like in its natural goop state where it's just like
So
writhing around.
the interesting thing is
Yeah,
like about all like the dark water is that like you can get sucked into dark water and then like somebody can throw like a rope down and they can pull you out.
so
Like
it is
it's
kind of
not
quicksandy, like Matt was saying. Yeah,
yeah, like it's not like getting attacked by dark water or like touching dark water does not necessarily mean it's the end of you. It just means that like you're in a real dire strait. Like you need to get out of there quickly. So like you can be rescued from it.
right.
Like you find out later in an episode that Matt and I watched
Hmm.
that like it can you can essentially like take dark water down into like the center of the world of Myrrh.
Right.
And that's, I guess that kind of goes to this additional character that is sort of one of the antagonists in addition to Bloth, which is the Dark Dweller.
Yeah, and you guys can talk a little bit more about him because he definitely has a big part to play later. I only got to watch the first few episodes, so my memory of him is literally only 20 years older. So if you guys want to talk about him a little bit more, I do know he's voiced by Frank Welker again though, so that's a
Correct.
feather in my cap.
yeah,
So, I mean, Dark Dweller is really so the whole idea is that um, the Dark Dweller lives in at the center of Myrrh,
Hmm.
and he released this dark water. He was being held at bay by King Primus,
Right.
as who was using the 13 Treasures of Rule to essentially bind him to like the bottom of the ocean or like the center of the earth or
Yeah,
Myrrh.
and we should say
And
too that when Ren does have these treasures kind of in hand, he can basically just hold one of them, plunge his fist into the water, and the dark water
yeah,
kind of like scatters away from it. It's like the only thing that prevents dark water from. Uh,
like rescinding, like it immediately makes dark water rescind. Like
yeah,
it's
and it's basically just the obvious light versus dark kind of thing, like light
right.
scattering the darkness away. Very very
And it
obvious. But
like
yeah, go ahead.
it comes about because like what was it like he's in the water, like him and like Ren and Bloth both get like sucked into the water at
Right.
one point, and Terran is just like plunge the treasure into the dark water, and you're just like what? If somebody would have said that, I'd have been like, all right, but you also should probably fill me in on a little bit more of the
Yeah,
history of
and
what's
you
going
owe
on
me
here.
a treasure if this does not
Yeah,
work,
exactly.
and probably an
So like
arm.
he plunges it in and it's able to rescue
Yeah,
him. And so I mean you just even when he goes to like even when he him and Niddler get stuck in a coffin and they get sucked up by dark water and
right.
it goes into the center of Myrrh into the Dark Dweller's like lair, and like there's like a little bit of dark water that kind of like skitters across the
Yeah,
ground
it's
towards
so
them, and
cute.
Ren's just like, oh hey look dark water, and just like wipes the crystal over it and it
Just
just
blasts
immediately
it.
dies. Like
yeah.
uh,
it's so ridiculous.
I love that it's like a transport though. Like you can use it as a transport. Like you think, like you see in the third episode, these kind of red shirts just get like swallowed up by this stuff, and you're like, that's
Yeah,
it. Those guys are done. But it's
dead.
interesting to see later on in future episodes, like it's kind of a transport between the
Right.
two realms kind of thing. But yeah. So
So the whole idea was that while the Dark Dweller was like bound from these 13 treasures of rule,
right,
that he created this like giant fissure in the ocean, and that allowed him to release this dark water. And this dark water essentially terrorizes everybody that's above as a result of him being stuck at like the center of this planet.
Yeah, and the idea is kind of like that it's going to eventually just what spread over the entirety.
Devour,
Yeah,
devour
and then he's
the
free to
entire
roam
planet of Mur.
everywhere. Exactly.
All right.
Which is
Yeah.
pretty cool stuff. I mean, it's a very, on one hand, it's very basic, light versus dark. Yeah, it's about as basic as you can get. But on the other hand, the way that they decided to do it was sort of like the deep, the dark dweller down in the depths of the oceans of Mur, and like the mechanisms that they use to combat these things, like through the treasure and through heroic actions to get these treasures or villainous actions to get these treasures, because actually these treasures go back and forth. They swap,
Oh yeah.
possessions a ton of different times. Like you think you've got them all when you've got like 8, and you're like, man, we only got 5 more to go. And then Bloth comes in and he just like takes them all, and you're like, well, fuck. Now we really got to get these other 5 and try to steal those
Yeah.
back. And they went back and forth forever. So if this series would have found a bigger audience and wouldn't have been quite so expensive to produce, I think.
Right.
This also happened around the time that Hanna-Barbera was basically going like bankrupt, and they got bought out by AOL Time Warner. So there were a lot of like financial business things going on behind the scenes that probably caused the show to, no pun intended, sink. But man,
Oh,
I didn't mean
yikes.
it, but it really
It
did.
happens.
Dark Water won, everybody. The Dark Water won. Ugh, but it was so good, so good.
Dark water is money. There's the connection.
It's funny. I was trying to see like, is it like a an environmental thing? Like, are they talking about like oil spills? And not really. I don't think I never caught like
Oh,
a.
are you serious?
I mean, I don't
Well,
know.
I mean, it
This whole thing
definitely.
foreshadowed like the whole BP oil spill. I mean,
Dude,
Directly.
it predicted
It
it.
predicted it.
I was
Straight up
hoping
predicted it.
somebody was gonna work me in for like a BP like name drop, but you beat me to
The
it, you
Dark
dirty
Dweller.
bastard.
BP the Dark
But
Dweller.
So if,
uh,
if anybody is interested in learning more about like the lore specifically about Darkwater, episode 8,
Yep.
The Beast and the Bell,
Mm.
has a lot of rich history about like the understanding of what the Darkwater is, as well as also the 13 Treasures of Rule, and the Dark Dweller has a lot of history in terms of like meeting Dark Dweller for the first time, and sort of seeing that other layer or other world that he lives in, that is like the center of Mur.
Yeah, like a very different realm from the surface world. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some cool
I don't know
stuff
if
here, yeah.
I don't know if later episodes, Matt. I know you watched a later. I know you watched the last episode that was produced, Living Treasure. I don't know if that had any additional information about that kind of crap.
well, no, but it was interesting.
Nope.
Moving
No,
on.
Nope.
no.
Not even
Let's
close.
just say everything came to a hard
Yeah.
stop in episode 21.
Yeah.
Basically, it was like, shut it down, we're done. But the one interesting thing was that the last treasure they found, which was this actually it really kind of reminded me of the guy that gave Ren the compass, because it was like this sort of anthropomorphic dragon, thing. Was an actual,
Alamar?
yeah,
Yeah.
was an actual. Actually, it looked like kind of a baby Alamar, but it was a dragon kind of baby that was one of the treasures, and its power was that it could fix things. So like you see, like Nibbler was like going after it, and it he messed up his wing, but like the little dragon just like touched his wing, and like his feathers grew back. So at the end, they drop it off at Octopon, and like the thing like jumps over the side of the ship, climbs up on shore, and like touches one of the trees near the water. So then all the trees on Octopon like blew. So
Wow.
yeah,
So he's like the
so
golden
I mean,
child, just of Mur.
yeah, pretty much. So it was, I mean, it was just an interesting thing because it was like, okay, we're not just looking for like, gaudy chunks of jewelry. Like these things are like, one of them's like a living creature.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
I need to look up a list of like the different treasures, at least the ones that we got to see, because I think we only saw 8 of them at different times.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
They only recovered 8
yeah, the
before the series ended.
Right.
the dragon thing was the eighth treasure that they found in episode
Oh,
20.
so that was the
I
last one.
wanna go back and ask about Alamar. Like when you
Yeah.
meet Alamar for the first time and he's like he gives Ren the compass. I was like, oh man, I was like, this guy's a talking badass
Yeah.
dragon.
He's like
Like
Pete's
what a
dragon, but badass.
yeah, exactly. I was just like, what a cool. I was like, what a cool guy. Like this is pretty awesome. And then all of a sudden, Bloth like
Yeah.
enters the area. Like he like he they meet up with Ren and like they blow a hole in the wall and make it down to like where Alamar is located. And then to like take care of Alamar, like Bloth's crew just like throws grappling hooks over top of him
Everybody's got grappling hooks. I told you.
and like yeah, like everybody's got grappling
Everybody's
hooks.
got them.
And so it's just like it's one of those things where like they throw these grappling hooks over top of Alamar. Granted, Alamar is like 3 to 4
Yeah.
times minimum
Let's
their
let's
height.
paint this
They
picture.
throw
He's
they
been living
throw
here. He's been protecting this temple for God knows how many years. He can breathe fire. He picks up
yeah.
Ren with one hand to tell him to
Yep.
calm down after Ren basically is like, Alamar, call off your beast. And he's like, it's me, boy, and you better learn some respect. He breathes
Yeah.
fire. He's like an ancient warrior. He knows all this lore. And then he's brought down by a bunch of idiot pirates with grappling hooks.
They throw grappling hooks at him
Yep.
and he just collapses to the
He's
ground
done.
and is just like, oh, I can't make it anymore. Like,
He's
you gotta be
bleh.
kidding
He just
me.
goes
Like
bleh, and he's
you
done.
oh
He
jeez.
quite literally just
I
like
just
leans to the side, just like Ren, the quest is yours now, and he just goes. Meh. He's
well and then Ren again being so like unbelievably foolhardy and optimistic
right.
is just like, no, I'm gonna save you and like goes over and like knocks
Yeah,
off
takes
all the
on like
people.
20
Dude,
pirates.
and
And I'm
here's
just
my
Yeah.
like,
favorite part. I
And
made
that's
notes.
a reoccurring oh go
Well,
ahead,
I
Dave.
made notes about this scene because Bloth sends probably 50 pirates after him. Now, granted, they took
Yeah.
down Alamar apparently no problem, but this scrawny little lighthouse keeper who's never apparently had any military or weapons training in his life takes them all
Right.
out. How does he take them out? By basically tripping them all so that they fall into like pools of like boiling water that are down in these
Yeah.
fire caves. All of them. Every single one. He
But I
just
mean,
bloop,
like
bloop,
that
bloop,
that is
drops them.
like such a recurring theme in
Yeah.
this, where I mean, it really is just like a one versus many, for many of the crew of the Wraith,
Right.
like where like all of a sudden like they will be
Oh,
attacked,
and they're super powered
and
somehow. Yeah.
oh yeah, and then like they will just and like Ayaz will just be like he'll like hit one person and they'll all like just tumble on top of one
Yeah.
another, and you're just like, oh my god, like this guy, like Ayaz really doesn't do much in this show. Like he just
He's
swings a
great
sword
comedic relief though. He's got the
and
great
complains.
one-liners, the slang. He's got that kind of he's an anti-hero. So you kind of like
Yeah.
you love when he acts up and like, oh, I don't know, steals treasure or steals a ship or like swats Tula on the ass or he acts like a real jerk. But you kind of love the guy at the end. So I like him too,
Right.
yeah.
So I mean, it's just like it's crazy, the fact that like in most situations, like what was it? I think I forget. Oh, in Dark Dweller,
Yeah.
or one of the episodes that I watched, there's like a moment where like Conk runs into Bloth and is just like he's just like we should say Conk is voiced
Yes.
by Tim
And
Curry.
it's amazing. Because
It
Conk is
is
like
a
this 1 foot
fantastic.
tall, peg legged, dog faced pirate that just like rides on the back of his
oh, and it's
His leather
hilarious. I
daddy
love
guys.
Yeah.
when Bloth looks at him and he's like, "What do you want, big face?" Like, I mean, that just killed me.
Oh, it's so
It's
good.
hilarious.
Or the fact that Conk is like so loyal to Bloth,
Yes.
but Bloth like every time he screws up, like Bloth throws Conk to
To the
the
Constrictus.
the Constrictus. Like they have this giant like it kind of
It's
looks
like a
like
kraken.
it's like a just yeah, it's like a kraken alien worm that is in like
It's like,
the
yeah, Dune meets Alien.
Yep.
yeah, it's in like the whole of Bloth's ship, the Maelstrom, and they just like throw people to it all the time. This freaking Constrictus, like it's the reason that Conk has one leg.
Which
And
did you see
like,
what his peg
but
leg
Ren
doubles
has
as?
like Ren has been like thrown to it like 3 or 4 times and escapes every
single
time,
time.
completely unscathed.
How lazy do you have to
Like-
be that you've got like this entire city-sized ship full of pirates, and you're like, ugh, throw him to Constrictus. And they're like, he gotten out the last 2 times. Nah, just throw him in. It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
But I mean, like it
Didn't
goes.
you see what happened to the Rancor?
Exactly. Or the
Yeah.
Sarlacc. Anything. Come
Yeah.
on, guys.
Yeah, it's just like it plays in more to Bloth's hubris.
Oh yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, he is so sure that like everything that he does is going to be super successful. Scourge of the seas of Mur, like he is just he's the baddest of the bad, and
He really, I mean,
you know,
he
and-
pretty much is though, because the thing is, the good guys don't really win all that much. They just get away.
Yeah,
They never
yeah,
win. They never defeat this guy. He's got
no,
unlimited
Yeah.
pirates. He's enormous. He's ox-sized, to quote some descriptions of him. His character is ox-sized. They never
yes,
win. They just get away, which is all they really need to do. And
yes,
that's an interesting change from the typical stuff we've been talking about, where it's a good guy. It's a black hat versus white hat episode, and the white hats win. And then the next episode's the
right.
same thing. This has kind of like
Yeah,
a through line. Yeah.
it's interesting in the episode 21
Hmm.
they were on an island with kind of like just like a bunch of disposable characters
Hmm.
who like lived there that were like kind of Amazonian Xena style warriors, but
Nice.
those were the that was like the first time like Bloth actually got like turned back
Oh,
was
interesting.
because of these
Interesting.
like yeah like these like the Amazonians plus like Ren and Tula and
Huh.
Ayaz like they're escaping, the Amazonians are fighting like Bloth is trying to get to Ren, yada yada yada, like, and they actually get like turned back. It wasn't like one of those, oh, they like slip through the grip like one more time. So
Right. No, that's interesting. And I mean, the show did a really good job at keeping it fresh. I mean, granted, it was only 21 episodes. Maybe by 65, 85, it would have gotten kind of tired. But man, there's just so much more. That we've got so many more questions. There were so many more things I wanted to see, and they showed a lot of that stuff in here. They show the different um, races, like we talked about, or the different nations,
yeah,
or islands, or cities, or
the
anything.
world was
Oh,
huge. I
it's
would have,
enormous.
and that
Oh my
was the
God,
one of
yeah.
the crazy things is like, you kind of got the feeling maybe like once you get to the early teen number episodes
Hmm.
where, you could really have gone 5 or 6 seasons comfortably with this show. Like
Yeah.
you could go like those the shows we've watched where you're like, Jesus Christ, how did they make 85 of these
Right.
things? Like,
Yeah.
but you look at this show and it's like, I mean, my obvious love of this show the first time it was on TV, like 85 episodes, you could have like, I mean, yeah, there would have been some recycling of like they escaped again and like this and that, but in 21 like I really feel like they just got the tip of the iceberg.
Well, and we talked about this offline too when we were discussing kind of like what episodes we watched and how we were liking it. The pacing of this show is
Yeah.
ridiculous, like way, way too fast. Now, granted that
That
that's
was that was my only complaint
yeah,
about the entire show is that like I mean from the time like Ren's dad shows up on the beach,
and gets immediately sucked back into the ocean. Yeah,
yeah, and gets sucked back into the ocean, it's like it's a couple minutes before he's meeting Alamar
right.
and like fighting back Bloth and all these pirates. Like it is so quick. It's like almost like Botsmaster pace, where it was just like we did this and then we did this and then we did this and then we
Yeah,
did this and there were no
it's
wipes.
very
Like I
like
mean, it's
caffeine
just
fueled. Yeah,
it
Yeah.
flowed seamlessly from like one thing to the
right.
next, and it leaves you asking so many questions. And I think a lot of the times, like as we were saying, like there are these instances where like Ren or Ayaz or Tula is battling like 20 different pirates, from Bloth's gang, and like
Hmm.
they fight them all back like valiantly, and it's like one sword swipe and it's done. It feels like there's so much Deus Ex Machina that is in this. Like it just feels like everything is just like, oh yeah, we did, like I swung my sword and then we just won,
Yeah, and
and you're just like oh my god, like it got a little bit frustrating
right.
in the first 9 episodes that I watched,
Hmm.
because I was just like, oh, they are just
Just
doing
blowing
this
through it.
every time. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
they don't even care. Like it got a little bit annoying because things were going like so quickly. Because I think in those first 9 episodes they got like 4 of the 8 treasures that are like of rule
right.
Well,
that
man,
they
no,
were
that
going to
like see
collect.
by
Like
what number was Dark Dweller? I think that was like
I
12.
think
that was,
uh,
yeah.
I thought it was 12 too, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's not like okay,
13 was
okay.
Okay.
Dark Dweller.
So 13, they had 7 treasures by 13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Between 13 to 21, they got 0 more, and in 21 they get 8.
Well, now here I'll kind of try to explain that why. So the first 5 episodes again were that mini series. So they kind of had to introduce these guys. This is why Darkwater didn't show up till episode 3, because that's kind of like your middle point. So you've introduced the good and bad guys, what their quest is, and then you throw this Darkwater in as like this weird kind of like wild card, and you're like, okay, how are they going to overcome that? And that's your first 5 episodes. The next run was 6 through 13, I guess. And then the last run, the problem was with this show, it was produced in such weird chunks that I'm amazed they have any of the continuity that they actually have. I think for those last 7 or 8, they were like, man, we really blitzed through half of our story already.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
slow it down a little bit. Rather
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
than,
the
yeah.
interesting thing is that like you find as a part of the lore. I think it was in episode 7,
Hmm.
Drop of Darkness. Like you find out that like I believe King Primus King Primus had gone out on this quest previously,
Hmm.
like uh, to recapture or like re um, to find all the 13 treasures of rule. Like
Right.
he had originally bound the Dark Dweller, but then when the Dark Dweller created that fissure and or released the Dark Water, there were like several like beings that like kind of made it up to the surface to like attack like people. It was like there was one like you find out like in episode 8 that has a lot of really good history that
Yeah.
I highly recommend.
I
Like
do
if you're
remember
gonna
that
like
now,
if
yeah.
you want to learn more about the history of it, there's this creature called Corruptus
Mm. It's a good name.
that is like one. Yeah, I know. It's,
I wonder what happened with that guy.
yeah, I know. He was corrupt.
He's a goodie.
So like you find out that he was like one of the like main henchmen of the Dark Dweller that like came to the surface, and he was one of the guys that had scattered all of the different treasures
Right.
like around Mur. And so you find out in episode 7, right before that, that King Primus was on this mission to like find all these treasures again. And Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, because I know you've seen some of the later episodes, but I think Primus only got 7 of the 13 treasures,
Correct. Yeah, I was just gonna say
and
it
so
was
Ren
once
got
they
one more.
once they
Like,
get 7. It was when they were about to leave like one of the ports. Tula said, number 7 is important not only because we're more than halfway there, it's because we've recovered the 7 original treasures your father
right,
hid.
Right, right.
right.
Which is a nice moment for
So
the young prince. Yeah,
yeah,
so sweet. Do you guys
so
ever find out why his sword was broken and what the sword is for other than just being a sword? Is there anything to that? Like, is it like a key that unlocks something? Is it like the Lord of the Rings lore? Anything like
Yeah,
that?
not in any of the
yeah,
episodes
not
I
in the
saw.
episodes I
I
saw.
feel like there's got to be something there because they wouldn't be like, let's give him a sword and just break it. Like,
Yeah,
there's just
probably in
too much.
episode 22.
Yeah, right? There's too much attention to detail that I feel like
I
that
mean,
has to be. Yeah,
I really feel like had this story continued,
yeah.
I felt like it would be one of those like things where they'd get like 12 of the 13 treasures, and then the compass would just like point either to the sword, or it would like in turn like point to Ren, and
Or
they'd be
just
like,
glow.
the 13th treasure was inside of you the
What's
entire
inside me?
time.
Let's
You
cut out
gotta
his
be
heart. Yeah.
fucking kidding me.
Yeah,
Like,
let's cut
I
off
would
his
have
arm.
lost my goddamn
I
mind.
just assumed that compass was one of the treasures, to be honest with you, because it would be kind of odd that it would like be pointing to the stuff but not be tied into it somehow, other than, you know.
No, no,
You know,
I could see the compass not being a
Okay,
treasure. I mean, I could see it just sort of being like a
just
beacon,
being a compass.
which
Yeah.
again is like, yeah, which again is like one of the like it base. I mean, just to go back to like the idea that like he is a lighthouse attendant,
Yes.
like it shines the way. This compass shines the way for him to like find his destiny.
Right.
Like, I mean, if you wanna reach for a metaphor as much as I did,
No, I
that's
don't. I
as
don't really
good
think
as
that's a
one I
reach. I
came
mean,
up
there's
with.
there's a reason that he started as a lighthouse keeper. I mean, not only so that his daddy can crash on the rocks and tell him his destiny and then get swept out to sea, but obviously
That's
for the
how I
Wouldn't that
want.
have been funny?
FYI, that's how
I'm
I want
Primus,
my
you're my
dad to
son.
die.
You're terrible at your
Jesus.
job.
All right, see you
That's
later, and then just
how I want.
just slides back
That's how I
out.
want my dad to die. I want my dad to like crash a boat, and me to be like, "Oh my god, it should go down," and then the sea just sucks him back out. And I'm like,
Jesus.
ugh. Like,
But then he tells you got to save the world in the meantime. That's kind of the road.
I'm down with that.
All right,
I mean,
fair
I mean,
enough.
here's the thing: is like he's gonna tell me that, but I'm only gonna get it like halfway.
Well,
to
you know,
finishing.
and then you're just gonna quit halfway through it. What I
And I'm
loved
back.
though, I pictured it as like, and I laughed at that moment like you guys. I pictured it like a Family Guy thing where they do like a satire on it, and he just has like this sound effect, just like whoop when he comes up, and then just when he goes back down.
It's like a slide whistle. If
Yeah,
they
just
had, like played a slide.
And
Like,
it's
if
such
they
an
had just-
emotional like and just set up the emotional setup of that point, and then just like, well, see you later, whoop, and gone.
I mean, and that's like the thing that like nobody here like I'm sorry.
For what?
Like A, I don't want my dad to die. Like but like B, like if something like that
Bill, if you're
happened where like
listening, yeah, it's all good.
yeah, like if something like that had happened, like I would be really emotional. I'd be like, "Oh man, like maybe I shouldn't go out into the sea. Like my dad was sucked into that thing." I would probably move
Just
as
stay at the
far
lighthouse.
inland as
Well, there
possible.
is no like inland though. I mean, unless you're in
I
like
don't
the
know.
jungles, like living with the monkey birds, um,
All right.
or these creepy 8 foot tall albino sailors that live in the caverns. Or
Oh
I
yeah.
love this world, dude. I could watch it. I mean, I could watch 100 episodes of this stuff. Like I could have watched years and years and years of this. I'm gonna pose a question to you guys, and I'll make sure to have time for like final comments on this too. But there's been there's not really been talk. It's been talk among like the fan community. Like I think IDW, that's a comics publisher, right? IDW. I think they wanted to do a Pirates of Darkwater comic for a while. That was probably about 10 years ago, and that didn't come to fruition. There's been talk about getting the rights back from whoever the hell owns them now, and either trying to do like a live action movie or just bring the series back. Have you guys given any thought to like what a live action movie would look like, what the cast could be? Because this is
Uh,
something I actually
I
Well,
wrote a while
all
ago for
right. I mean,
Collider.
I'll
Yeah,
let me jump in on the
do it.
live action thing. I mean, okay, yeah, you've got the benefit of like, kind of having a fan base to this thing, but
Yeah.
it's a pretty small fan base.
Oh yeah.
And the last thing that anybody's really seen about it, unless they've been watching episodes online, you know, was almost 30 years ago at this point.
Well,
What,
it was
25
20
years?
it was 20 years once the last thing ended in syndication in '93. So yeah, 20 years.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
So like, okay, yeah, 21 years. So, would I personally love to see a live action movie? Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, I think with CGI and just, where
Motion
it is
capture.
now,
Yeah.
it would be amazing. You've got, definitely enough technology and like just movie like wherewithal to really capture like the imagination of the animated series.
Yeah.
On the other hand, like, it's going to be one of those Hobbit style, movies where you film the whole thing and they release it over the course of like 3 years,
Right.
and they've got to break it up into like three 2.5 hour movies to really do it properly.
Now I'm
Otherwise, you're going to end up with like, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Well, and that was my closest comparison because you can build a franchise out of pretty much anything these days. God knows Hollywood is doing it, and they're doing it with anything from things that were always popular like a Transformers or a Ninja Turtles, down to things like Gem and the Holograms, or I kid you not, like Ouija boards or Stretch Armstrong, shit like that. Like somebody is taking all of these nostalgic properties and saying, can we turn it into a movie? And then question, 1A, can we turn that movie into a franchise? So they're looking at all of this stuff, but this one I feel like has that potential. It just doesn't have the eyeballs on it. I would love to see it as almost like a sci-fi live-action series. As goofy as that sounds, sci-fi actually does some
So
decent series.
I'm
I could
I'm gonna
definitely see like a mini series type of thing.
Miniseries would be fine to start, kind of like how they
Yeah,
started the.
kind of like a 4 season, 12 episodes. Because like, if people are buying into the
Right.
popularity of Game of Thrones,
Yeah,
it is not a long walk to get from Game of Thrones to Pirates of
it's not, man.
Darkwater.
Just take it out to sea, and that's pretty much it.
so I'm gonna disagree with both of you.
About on what?
On
Well, fuck
Well,
yourself,
then
Tim.
on
that's
well,
all the
thank
time we
you.
have for today.
Oh boy.
Now, what's your take?
Um, no, I really don't. I think a live action, whether it was a movie or a mini series, would be a disservice to the show.
What?
I just don't think it would work. I really don't think it would work. I don't, because I don't want somebody to like James Cameron Avatar
I
this.
mean, you'd have to.
Like,
Honestly, you'd have
well,
to.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
fair.
want it. I don't
I
want
don't
that.
want it.
Like, that's the opposite of what my goal would be. What I would love to see for this is David Kirshner.
Hmm.
I'd love for him to get the rights back to
Right.
this, and then to have him do a Kickstarter to be able to go through. I mean, like, the animation for this show when you're watching it is not fantastic, and I'm
I
not
gotta
looking.
disagree. I mean, for
It's good.
91,
It's
it's
good.
good
It's for 91. It's good. But like, it's not like it's okay. I will
compared to
give you that. It is.
today's.
It
Compared to
is. It
today,
is
though,
good.
it's mediocre
But like,
or middle ground to
I
me.
would like. I mean, I think with like in terms of like what we have animation wise now,
Yes.
like I would love to be able to kind of retain that style of animation from when the show was actually on the air, and create new episodes and continue and actually like finally flesh out and kind of give this the additional time that it needs to be able to. I mean, because in these 21 episodes, like you get a lot of rich history,
Right.
lore, and mythos of
And
Myrrh,
character
and
too,
it is,
like
and
a
characters
lot of
too,
background. Yeah.
and it's wonderful. And I mean, I think that like if you put this like it, here's the
Hmm.
thing: this show is really kitschy. Like there are moments of it where you're just like, oh my god, but then you realize like watching it, you're just like, but I love how ridiculous this is. Like every time that like Ayaz and Tula does something dumb and Ren's just like, I don't believe it.
Right.
I don't believe that they'd betray me. Like believe it. They just stole stuff from people, you
Again.
idiot.
Right.
Like they again. Like it's just it's not like the thing that's crazy too is that like this group of four gets thrown together so hastily and quick, like
Hmm.
so hastily. And like 3 seconds later, Ren is just like, nobody can beat our team. I'm like, you don't even fucking know these people, bro. Like,
He was
Yeah.
gonna drop him
maybe
off at the
invest a
nearest port, and they're like,
maybe
"Nah,
yeah,
we'll
I
hang out."
know. Maybe invest a little bit more time to like know the people who are on your ship
Yeah.
because like every time they talk about this, or every time you flash back to the ship, like it's not like there's additional like exposition about like, oh, well, that was a good story that you told them. They're just like they haven't talked to each other.
No.
Like Tula changes clothes at one point, and they're just like, oh, we had extra clothes on ship. When the fuck did that
When
happen?
that
Like
happened, who
they
got
have
the
no
Yeah.
clothes?
idea
Where'd you
what the
steal
I
them
like
from?
they are
I
so disconnected from each other's lives, and they're living on a boat together that it's insanity. Like you would think that like some point they'd just be like, well, I mean, we're all trying
So,
to accomplish the same
so where are
thing.
you from?
We're
Here's
all
what I'm
trying to do
Where'd
it
you
through
thinking.
grow up?
different
Yeah.
means. Like
We
it's a little bit different.
weekend seminar, series of icebreakers,
Yeah, this
team
is
comes
It's
together.
this
trust
is a
building
corporate this is a corporate
exercises.
retreat shit.
Yes.
Like this is insane. But like I think
Oh my
I think if you
God, that would
I
be
think if
hilarious as a corporate retreat. Like, here's what you have to do: 13 treasures of rule. Darkwater is eating this
Watch
convention
out for this
center.
guy Bloth.
Yeah.
He's a rival corporate CEO. Hostile takeover.
I
Oh, I
think,
love it.
but I think doing this in any other medium other than like a web cartoon or a comic book would be a big disservice because you have these moments where
Hmm.
like if you put this as a movie
Yep.
and like Ren waved his half of a sword
Yeah.
and like knocked over 20 pirates, I'd be in a movie theater and I'd be like, what the fuck is this?
But I
But
mean,
like if it's
Michael
on a
Bay
but
does
if it's
that
on
on
a
a daily
cartoon,
basis. Yeah.
yeah, but we fucking hate Michael Bay. Like who is giving him this fucking money to keep crapping on these
Audience
franchises?
members,
Here's the thing: if you are listening to this as an audience member, stop going to
stop it.
Michael Bay
Hear
movies.
that,
They
China?
are fucking terrible. They are so terrible.
China's
Just
very upset.
knock it the fuck off. Like I know, I'm constantly angry about this. Like it's just I mean I'm really not. I'm just like it's so frustrating to see the fact that like he gets like Transformers 4, terrible
Yep.
movie, amazing box office
It's
success.
the lowest of the franchise,
Stop
but it's
doing
still
that.
three-quarters of $1 billion worldwide. So,
It is so
yep,
frustrating.
No,
So
that's
I mean,
Hollywood for you.
I think
pretty
to
much.
do this, yeah, I think to do this in any other medium other than either its original cartoon or a comic book where you could still have
That'd
that
be
like
cool.
I mean I think it would be very challenging because I think if you were to expand the audience base to everybody, like if you were to make this accessible to
Which I think it
everybody
kind of is
and
already, to be
you
honest with you.
but I mean there's the reason that this is a cult classic,
I think
in terms of
I
cartoons
gotta
is
say, I think it was about the
it's
timing that it came out, and there's just a lot of just like a perfect storm of just shit that happened behind the scenes. To be honest with you,
right.
because I think it's
And
accessible to a
I
lot of people, kids, teenagers, and then adults
I
alike. I
mean
mean, if they like Pirates of the
Yeah, and
Caribbean.
a
here's the
lot of
thing.
the web information I found about it, like, it's pretty honest about the fact that the reason why this show was canceled was because it was so
Yeah.
expensive to produce.
Right. Here's the
It's pretty
thing.
Yeah.
upfront. So
David Kirshner,
Hmm.
you now head David Kirshner Productions. Like, let's
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 get it done.
kickstart this and let's pick up on episode 22 and let's move forward
I
with
would
this
love to
because
see, yeah, any kind of conclusion
this
to
is
it.
an amazing show. Like even if you go one more
Yeah,
episode
wrap it up.
where like let's make it like one of the like like a movie. Like let's make it like a 90-minute movie and like we wrap up all the rest of this and like we put a nice little bow on it. Like I'd love to be able to see it in its original form as a cartoon.
And I would
I will also
love.
accept a comic book, but
I'll
like
also accept a comic book.
you do live action, you're gonna get fucking Johnny Depp as a pirate again, and like I'm gonna lose my mind because they're gonna ruin this. Like they're really gonna ruin this, and that would be to see somebody James Cameron like or fucking Michael Bay ruin this would really frustrate me because I mean again like I kind of I don't really remember watching this. In fact, the last time I remember I watched an episode of
Mhm.
this, I was like somewhere outside of the King of Prussia Mall in Pennsylvania, and I was at a McDonald's
Very
and I
specific.
sat down. Yeah, I know. It was really weird because like I sat down uh, to like eat some food and I looked up and just randomly Pirates of Darkwater was on the television and I was like, oh my god, I haven't watched this in like forever. And even when it was on, I only remember watching like one
Yeah, I
episode.
think
Like
Cartoon Network brought it back for a
having
very brief amount of time.
having reintroduced myself to this, like it's very good. I highly recommend watching this. Like there's just so much to it and it's so interesting and I'd love to give it a chance to end on its own
And I
terms.
will say this: we live in a culture now that yes, our childhood memories and TV shows that we cherish are being exploited for millions and billions of dollars. But on the flip side of that, that's not a good thing, like Sean said, very passionately. And that's not a great thing. But on the flip side, the fact that it does bring attention to shows like this means that there is a chance that somewhere down the road, whether it's Kirshner or somebody else that has the rights to it, this could pop up again in another sense. Now,
Get on your shit, Kirshner.
I did read somewhere that Kirshner was a producer for on Titan AE,
Yeah,
um,
it was.
and some people think that that was kind of his sort of his ending to Pirates of Darkwater. Just happened to be set in
Oh,
space.
really?
That's what people say. As a producer, though, I don't know if he was the writer, if he was any kind of like had a lot of creative input. That's what they say, but they also say that there's like produced episodes that haven't been released and all that. So people I think just want to believe that. I would rather see. We started with a miniseries. I would love to close it out with a miniseries that wraps it all up one way or the other. And I would love to see Octopon kind of like restored as the crowning jewel of Myrrh, as it's called in the series. I'd love to see it. Don't know if we will get to, but that's why we're here, bringing it to your attention. So, any final thoughts on the show for you guys? It's kind of obvious that you recommend it. I do too, but just
Yeah,
final thoughts.
I would say watch, the original, 1 through 6
Yep.
episodes. I would definitely recommend watching The Dark Dweller, and then watch episode 21. I think it's called The Living Treasure,
Yep.
Yeah.
just so you can get an unbelievable sense of non-closure.
Right.
Um,
So you
you
can
know,
just frustrate yourself.
yeah, just
No
treat yourself to
Jatat.
that, and then
Oh
carry that
God.
into Monday morning.
We didn't
So,
even talk about the slang. This is like
All
the
right.
one of
Well,
the biggest parts.
we can wrap it up. So one of
all
the
right, what's your
big
favorite slang, Sean?
okay.
Go.
I love Noijatat.
No,
I
Jatat's good.
mean, it just like here's the thing is that like I know so they bring in uh they have like four expletives that they use in this that are like just wonderful. And so Dave, you sent out the list.
Yeah,
So do
just a
you want
few that I
to?
could find. Let me see. Let me bring it up.
So it was
My
Chungo Lungo.
That's a
Yeah,
good one.
my favorite was Chungalungo
I like
because
that one.
every time I said it, I was like, That reminds me of Chumbawamba," which should also be an
I
expletive.
seriously
So,
thought
It
that
should
that's
be.
what they said the first time, and
Chumbawamba.
like I had to back it up. Be like, what are they? Oh, Chungalunga. Okay, cool.
Yep.
There's Jenga Lang.
These are all just like expletives too. It's basically just all
Yeah,
stuff that you would say, just like swearing. Basically, there's
yeah.
not much else to it other than that.
I feel like no like now here's the thing is that like I mean they use them all pretty much like synonymously like you
Yeah,
know
yeah, you can swap them in and
in the
out. Yeah.
series like you can swap anything out but like is there any one that like when they used it at like any point in time this is my question for you guys that I've been really interested in. Is there any one that like they used where like you were just like oh my god like given the context of the dialogue like I know exactly what that would translate in like modern slang
I can't think of a specific one. I just
or
know
like
that they
like
use
modern
like
expletives that we
I
use.
just know that they use Noijatat like fiercely, like just. I think that one became like their favorite to just
I
Noijatat,
feel I feel like Noijatat is just like you fuck. Like I
or just like
like there were just
motherfuck.
yeah
yeah.
I feel like that was what it was like Noijatat just was like and like a hard MF
Well, I
and then
Yeah,
think I know it listed Jatad as like one of the expletives, like as the root. So I'm pretty sure Jatad is fuck
It's
because
gotta
if
be.
you think like Jatad
Yeah,
monkey bird, like
Exactly.
fucking
You
monkey
fucking
bird,
monkey
like
bird.
yeah. So
And
I feel
then
like Noi is
Noijatat
just
is,
like
yeah, it's
I
probably
feel like Noi is like you, like
it
so
could
it's like
or
you
it could just be like
fuck.
a modifier, just like to that next level, just like
Yeah.
holy fuck or
Oh
whatever,
fuck. They use Noijatat. They
constantly.
swear so much in the
And it's so
show.
good. So like if you like
It's great.
Battlestar Galactica or any of the shows that kind of like or on Sci-Fi Defiance, they make up kind of their own, uh, their own slang stuff like that.
Lexicon.
Yeah, they have their own lexicon of slang, which is awesome, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll definitely pick it up and be saying it if you watch the show even
What
once.
is it? Scut Pango.
Yeah, like Scoot Pango, Scut Pango. I don't know if I ever heard that one.
So it's later. It's
and there
much
was
later
like
in the series.
Krell eaters or like
Oh, they got so many great
Yeah.
insults, and like Bloth is always like, "Well, twist my soul." And I'm like, "Whoa, what
Whoa.
do I do with that?"
Settle down, buddy.
Ah, twist my soul. Like when Ren escapes for the 50th time in 2 episodes.
Ugh.
Yeah, there's a lot of good, just like little, yeah, insults and stuff too. And not just like pirate slang, not the same old stuff. They went the extra mile to really make it their own, which I thought was really
yeah.
cool. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah,
It's great.
definitely check this stuff out, man. I could probably talk about this more if I had seen more episodes.
I was gonna say, so the site, so this is rather hard to find, this
Yeah,
show.
it's difficult.
So if you're listening and you're just like, I'm piqued my interest, I'd like to watch more. The website
That's where I watched
animeonair.com
them.
has tons and tons of episodes. I think they actually have all 21. And there were like no ads to it. So
Yeah.
I mean, like, thank you, Anime on the Air,
Yeah,
for
thanks.
just making this available. Like, oh man, like I don't
Hope
know
you're
what I
not
would have done
shut
without
down
you
because
guys.
of our podcast.
Yeah, yeah, your traffic is gonna go nowhere.
It's gonna
Go
go
up
up
by
by
seven.
one
It's
percent.
just gonna be the three of us just watching this
That's what
show.
we've been doing. I will also plug piratesofdarkwater.net. It's a fan-run site. Tons of information. It's actually still pretty current. I think the last update was only maybe a month ago, maybe even more current than that. A lot of information up there. We're going to have links to this in the show notes and stuff too. And I will say, Sean, I don't know if you're going to mention this or not, but the entire series is available on DVD. Um,
Yes,
it's
yes,
unfortunately a bare bones DVD, and by that I mean it's basically just kind of like the same quality you would see online.
yeah,
There are no special features. There is no additional information. There's nothing, man. And it's just DVD. It's not Blu-ray, and it's only the 21
yeah.
episodes. The good thing is they didn't split it up into like three different things for $30 a piece, but it is, $30 for the 21 episodes. So a little steep. But if you're a fan and if you want to put your money where your mouth is about seeing more of this stuff, check it out. We'll
Yeah,
have a link up
I
too.
think it's only like $30 on Amazon, or just watch it for free on
Yeah, just head over there and
animeonair.com.
watch them. Yeah.
Just head over there and watch it.
But I mean,
Um,
honestly, like, if Kirshner had the rights back to this and was like, guys, I need you to like, buy this DVD or whatever, then I'd be okay with it. The fact that it's probably just going to like Time Warner's pockets, I'm a little less, a little less
yeah.
enthusiastic about doing that. So
Here's the thing: if anybody has David Kirshner's like email
yeah,
or his
he's still
contact
active.
information,
He's still
and
active.
would love to see Pirates of Dark Water continue, I would love to have this conversation with him. We'd love to interview him
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
in any way, shape, or form. Please email us SaturdayMorningCartoons@gmail.com.
And maybe he'll be showing up
Um,
at Comic Con, so I'll put the feelers out and see if.
God, I'd love to. I love just so much stuff. Like this is so good. Like it's a shame. It really is a shame
It is.
that
I think this
this.
is the most passionate we've ever been about an episode in a positive light. We've definitely been this passionate on the other side of the scale.
Man, we had juxtaposition between this and Cops is ridiculous.
Oh, poor cops, or even this in like Turbo Teen, because that show.
It
Oh
just sucked.
goodness. But yeah, man, 10 episodes in, I'm feeling pretty good. How about you guys?
Doing well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good shit.
I think we've worn Baron out. So that's pretty much the end of
Well, I'm
Pirates of
3 hours
Darkwater today.
behind you guys, so it's just settling in for mid-evening nap
Oh,
time.
I
So,
got mid-evening nap time. What are you, a hobbit?
kinda.
Jesus Christ. No, it's a tot.
It's a top
All
monkey
right.
bird.
Oh man. All
Well,
right.
so what else do you guys have coming up soon? Anything you want to plug? Let you know any shows coming up, any writings coming up?
Sure do.
Yeah, what you got?
You can see me this month. I am going to be performing at for Washington Improv Theater at the Source Theater on 14th Street in Washington D.C. in between S and T. This coming July 26th, I have two shows. I will be at the 8 p.m. Or the 8 p.m. show and the 10 p.m. show.
Which
I'm
are
performing,
totally different.
which are totally different. No shows are the same. So I'll be performing improv with Knox, and we are doing our own spin on TED Talks, and they're called Knox Talks.
Oh, nice.
So we've had some really fun. We've had two really fun shows so far this month for this run. So hopefully the 26th at 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. are going to be equally, if not more, ridiculous. And I mean, yeah, this previous show got really crazy. Um, so you can buy tickets at WashingtonImprovTheater.com.
Excellent. We'll have that information up on the site as well. Matt, how's your writing career coming along?
It is actually just about ready to be published, so I'm
Nice.
going to be putting up the first three of seven via. I'm going to link it through Twitter, but it's going to be on Tumblr, so look for it there.
Excellent. So are you still at Bag of Sandwiches on Twitter?
You know,
Yeah, you change it.
I have not changed
Damn
it.
it, come
What is
on,
what
man.
is your
One of our
problem?
7 listeners is gonna take it from you. At Bag of
Well,
Sandwiches. Well, where can we find you on Twitter?
I'm gonna register it if you don't.
all right, fine. Uh,
We just peer
so
pressured
for
you into becoming Bag of Sandwiches.
Well, I mean, I'm going to register it. I'm
Just
just
to
not
keep
going to
Sean
do
from it.
anything.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. I'm going to keep him from it. No,
Great.
I'm at MattSF07 on Twitter.
And Sean, where can we find you on the social
You
medias?
can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sean Paul Ellis.
And on Twitter, you can find me at Dr. Claw MD. You can also find me over at Collider.com. Like I mentioned about Comic Con, that'll be coming up this week, and it'll keep me pretty busy over the next week or so. We're going to have a lot of people down there covering a bunch of stuff, all the movie and TV news you need to know. So head over there to check it out, and make sure to look for my name. I'll be posting a ton of stuff from there too. So you can also find us on our site for the podcast at SaturdayMorningCartoons.com. That's morning with a U. Remember that, Saturday Morning Cartoons. You can also check out our Tumblr page, SaturdayMorningCartoons.tumblr.com. Sean's been doing a great job over there. I haven't seen it today for the Pirates of Darkwater stuff, so I'm excited to check that out.
I've been posting a bunch of stuff on Pirates of Darkwater, so I'm
Nice.
very happy.
It's going to be good stuff. And make sure to head over to our site too to get some more visual information and a little bit of a background on this site or on this show, excuse me, as well. So that's it, Sean. I believe it is your pick coming up next week. Do you have one in mind that we're going to talk about on our
Oh
11th
man,
episode?
you guys are in
Oh
trouble.
Christ!
We're gonna be watching
You
Dinosaurs.
jitat. I
Oh,
knew
you
you
dick.
chungalonga. I knew it was coming, but I thought maybe you'd
Deal
forgot.
with it.
Uh, you have to sing the theme song next week, though. How's that sound?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sweet. Bring your metal guitar.
Oh, can't wait.
All right, guys. So we will see you next time on Saturday Morning Cartoons. Thanks for listening.